What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and welcome back to something that I've actually done before. So I was in kind of a D&D mood again, and I figured that I would do another, like, no humans allowed race or species, I think that they're starting to call it now, like, hybrid situation, and create characters based off of these randomly drawn species on this little random generator, and then we would see what they look like. I'm not a big... I would like to play D&D. I haven't really played many campaigns, and definitely not like full campaigns especially. I think I've made it past one session 0. And it went wonderfully and terribly all at the same time. So that was fun, but I'm not much of a D&D player, but I do like to make little characters. And so if you could indulge me, I would like to go through and try and draw some non-human hybrids. And what I mean by that is, of course, there are a load of hybrids in D&D in of itself because that's just what happens, but the majority of them are human-based. Given that humans are kind of squishy and, like, they don't really have much going for them, it makes sense in a gameplay perspective, but in a storytelling perspective, it doesn't make sense to me, okay, that humans are the only horny race. Okay? Let the other races be horny. And I just feel like that would be a good way to go about creating some really interesting and unique characters, is the endless possibility, well, not endless, but the multitudes of possibilities and the near endless results of mixing these possibilities together to get something that is completely unique, and trying to create a character based on that. I have a lot of fun with that. So let's get started. I'm probably going to, thankfully this rolls 2 at a time, so I am going to roll 2 races. I don't want a human. Don't want dwarves. Come on. Well, those are all happening. Are they all... are they... 1 second. Let's find a different one. I think this one should do well. Let's see if I can't... Yes? Yes. Don't need characteristics or anything like that, but let us generate something. Okay, we've got a Warforged. Okay, interesting. Just scooch this over here. I will grab a screenshot of that bad boy. All right, and now who are they hooking up with? Generate. There we go. Asimar. Are those? I mean, they look human, but like not totally. Let me double check. Because I don't want... Dusting metallic white chocolate. Okay, so they've got humanoid, but they are not humans. Arise among any population of mortals. They resemble their parents, live up to 160 years, and have features that hint at their celestial heritage. Interesting. Cool. Okay. So, Asimar. I will remember that. Celestial being. Warforged and Asimar. This sounds kind of like an angel character almost. Scourge Asimar. What's a scourge? I guess I will figure that out in post. Now, does it work fully within the means of our you know, being naturally born by any measure? I don't know. I don't think so, but we're gonna suspend disbelief for a minute. Maybe it's a cyborg. I'll get into it. Damn it. Ooh, tabaxi. Yay, kitty. Okay. Okay, so our next pair is going to consist of a tabaxi and a reborn. Interesting. Okay. We're getting some wild selections today. Reborn. I can only assume this is like an autonomous creature brought back by a warlock. But these aren't necessarily like fully need to be hybrids so far. Like, you could definitely be, I guess maybe not necessarily an Asimar. I guess you could be a robot imbued with some sort of celestial power, right? Right? So I guess you could be like an Aasimar Warforged, or you could be a reborn Tabaxi and not necessarily need to have had any parentage toward that. That's just something you are become or are born as. Right? Okay. Continue. A swift stride shifter. Interesting. Okay. So, cool shape-shifting creature. I will look up what swift stride specifically implies. And one more. Yon... One... Yon... Yonti pureblood? Okay. They look kind of like Githyanki. A little bit. Just a little bit. Similar vibes, I guess? Perhaps? And these two definitely seem like they would be more of a parentage situation. We were to go down and take a look at what happened at the tavern that night. Although again, that being said, I feel like that these characters would have a different source than one might initially think, but let me just... Boop. Okay. So as you can see, we started out with a Warforged Scourge Aasimar. So I'm assuming some sort of divinely inspired Warforged. Some sort of robot that was then kind of taken unto by some celestial influence. So that should be interesting. As I said, kind of an angel vibe almost. And then we have a reborn Tabaxi. So I can only assume just basically a Tabaxi brought back from the dead by some sort of warlock or necromancer. So that'll be interesting to play around with. I'm curious to see how I can go about that. And then this one is actually a bit more of a parentage situation, I think. We've got a Swiss Stride Shifter and a Yuan Chi, however you pronounce that, pureblood, which I can only assume that they don't, hybridize all that often, but maybe the shifter got away with shape-shifting themselves into something that would be relative to that. But I'm going to do a little bit more research and figure out how exactly I'm going to go about these characters. I think that I have some pretty decent ideas, but I will get back to you about them in the speed paint voiceover. Make these little hybrids a possibility. See you there. Alright, first up we have the Aasimar Warforged. I leaned hard into the angel vibes I got from the idea, going for a sort of divine machine vibe almost. I wanted to give it a bunch of cool wheels, gears, and mechanisms because as an artist I hate myself, apparently. But seriously, it was definitely hard to draw gears interlocking like that, and I kind of fudged it, but the process was actually a little soothing. I also gave them some cool blade-like wings and overlapping eye wheels, similar to those old ancient descriptions of certain angels that were just absolutely terrifying. I decided to name them Sentinel. I actually have some particular stories surrounding these designs and how they came to be for this time around, so let's get into it. Sentinel was a Warforged created by a celestial paladin during the last war. Its creation prompted celestial intervention, changing its form drastically to become more complex and also awakening its sentience. Sentinel has a strange, removed personality and an inherent sense of justice, but doesn't seem to know its patron's intentions. It has free will only supplemented by occasional guiding visions of its purpose. I'd imagine this character would probably most definitely be a paladin given their nature, but let me know if any other classes suited it. I'd be interested to hear. Their resolves for most of these, I wound up giving them kind of like built-in classes almost, but not entirely. Next up, we have the reborn tabaxi. Apparently, reborns can come about a number of ways, but in my mind went to that sentient zombie vibe, so I kept with that. I also decided to make the cat this particular tabaxi was based on a lycoi or werewolf cat. They're my favorite little weirdos. They're partially hairless, mostly on their eyes, muzzle, ears, and feet, and it makes them look like a little monkey or an old-fashioned werewolf. It's super cute. I love it particularly when their longer hair grows out white to sort of frame their face. I gave this girl a wide-eyed, almost wild stare, with one eye decayed and blinded, and her spine is exposed around her neck and tail. I decided to name her Scritch. Scritch was, at least to her ill-recovered memory, some sort of thief in life. She awoke one day with no memory of who she was and no context for her rebirth. She has some of the muscle memory and clothing of a rogue, but none of the know-how. Her reflexes can catch up before she does a lot. Scritch is on a search for who she was, why she came back, and who she is now that she has. I'd imagine she's also a little feral and haggard, afraid to approach the living world in fear of being mistaken for one of the more malignant undead. Obviously, I imagined her as a rogue thief, but she could always start from anything else with that as her backstory. Finally, we have a Yuan T or Yuan D, like in Dao, Yuan T, I'll say, shifter, which, after researching both, I actually wholly misinterpreted both of these species. Yuan T are nothing like the Githyanki and are actually a creed of engineered human-snake hybrids, and shifters are not like changelings. I assume they probably just have the same name in this universe, honestly, but are instead descendants of werebeasts. So, yeah. Totally wrong first impressions, but that's why we research. Honestly, stuff like this is fun to use to dive into these bits of creature lore and D&D and other stuff without getting just like totally overwhelmed. I mentioned this earlier, but the first two hybrids are almost just one race with another parameter added to them. A divinely inspired Warforged and a resurrected Tabaxi feel more like physical backstory over like actual hybridization. This guy is a little bit more of a true hybrid, but he is actually still kind of similar, because he could really just be a Yuan-Ti with some extra werebeast lineage. I decided to go for a were-tiger instead of the classic werewolf, because, hello, there's a were-tiger? I didn't know about this until now, neither that nor were-rats. Also, though, I didn't really take the other descriptors into account from the other characters, but the shifter character that I rolled on that particular website was described as a swift stride, and apparently were-tiger lineage shifters are one of the variants that suit that best. I guess you could take it either way, though. I figured this character would probably have his face looking much more animalistic than either of his ancestors. I wanted to sort of go between a tiger mouth and almost like that puppy python mouth. Although applying that to a humanoid face was, in fact, hell. I think I got it okay. I gave him a cool mohawk and matching fur clothing. I'm imagining almost sort of like a Selkie situation where the pelt rejoins with him when he shifts. The stripes also continue onto his skin, too. I don't know if either Yuan-Ti or shifters have tails, but this one does. It's fluffy on the end, because of course it is. I also gave him a knife because I feel like it suited him, and a pair of long canines, which prompted me to name him Saber. Saber comes from a small, cult-like schism of the Yuan-Ti that wanted to further embrace their connection to a viewed perfection of nature by becoming werebeasts or interbreeding with those who did. However, another sect of Yuan-Ti wiped out all but a few of them, sparing them only to be used as servants or gladiators. Saber was the latter, but found his escape later. Now he wants to free his existing kin and avenge the ones he's lost. I didn't really know what I fully wanted Saber's class vibe to be when I made him. I guess, like, thinking about it now, he's probably a fighter. He seems a little too noodly to be a barbarian, but feel free to prove me wrong. Maybe his shifted form could add some bulk. I didn't wind up drawing that this time around. But these are my three characters from this week's experiment. I think that they could actually make a cool little party in and of themselves, as per usual. My personal favorite is actually Scritch. I think I would totally play a character like her in any TTRPG, but I like all of them, of course. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments, along with whatever other fun or weird art challenges you'd like to see me try in the future. I love little character and creature design challenges like this. At that, though, I'll leave this here, and I'll see y'all next time.